What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk about SoFi, give you a quick overview of what is happening, what the data points are saying, and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So currently it is up 2.44%. Lucky 777 right here. 27.5 million shares being traded. 56.6 is the average. So overall, SoFi is doing rather well. It did bounce off of a very strong technical level, as I said in yesterday's video. These are some points that you need to watch for. So with it at 776, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 826 is going to be the next strong resistance, and 751. So it did bounce off of that general area. So that is going to be the next strong support. And I do believe that this is the second time it did bounce off of that. So generally that's kind of a good thing. Of course, today though, the broader market is wanting to go up as a byproduct of a couple of companies unveiling pretty kick-ass earnings, as well as some optimism coming out from China. SoFi did put out one piece of news. In reality, it's nothing to go out and buy SoFi as a result, but new SoFi at Work survey finds more employees than ever are stressed about financials and blah, blah, blah. So again, it's kind of a good thing, a little bit more fluff, but it does encumber SoFi's plan of just having a all-in-one location, and just kind of shows how potentially it could get more members in the near future. Surprisingly enough, shorts are returning some shares. So 508,000 shares are being returned. 13.64% of the free float is being shorted. 124.44 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost of borrow average is 0.94%. These are some of the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So there was a pretty big one first thing. So 2.4 million based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price. It was a sell, so that obviously attributed to it going down to that S1 level. But aside from that though, big money isn't necessarily getting into SoFi. So that does lead you to believe that it's just a lot of algorithmic trading, a lot more optimism. So this is where AI has just clearly been told or informed just to raise the prices. And this has been the case for 2024 for a while now. Like I've been saying, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings. So last one was done by Compass Point, UBS. So hopefully there might be some more positive ratings that does really boost SoFi higher above that $8 range, because I did say, especially based on the options, like $8 is going to be a very strong pivot point as well. So there's a lot of different circumstances that's really going to be holding SoFi down, if that does make sense. As far as options, $4.46 million in calls being purchased versus 1.08 million in puts. Sentiment wise, 53% of all options being done so far in the trading day are optimistic and bullish. So that's kind of a good thing overall. As far as looking at some of the call options that are being purchased, there is an anticipation for it to be above $8. There's around 19,000 in open interest currently at that $8 strike price, 28,000 being purchased today. But of the puts that are being purchased, there's a consensus for it to be sub 750. So that's obviously a very big transition for SoFi as well. So SoFi, I feel like, is just kind of stuck in limbo. The earnings definitely did hit a home run. Just right now, for whatever reason, analysts are hesitant about SoFi. I don't know if it's because as a result or correlated to the Feds and them cutting rates. I do want to play this video in a second because it does show SoFi's Liz Young talking on interest rates and what that might potentially do in 2024. And of course, a lot of that can be extended to SoFi, because in their recent earnings, they did say that even though Wall Street was under the impression that there might be 6 rate cuts in 2024, kind of optimistic, but Chris did say that they are anticipating 4, and potentially there might be even less, dependent on data points. So I do want to play this for you in 1 second, but just to start off right now, looking at the momentum indicator shows number of retail investors are getting in. So retail is buying, big money clearly hesitant a little bit, algorithmic trading, so AI is wanting to potentially boost a lot of growth stocks, and that's like I said, because of Palantir and a couple other big earnings as well that did come out over the last couple of days that really gave good future guidance and good growth as well during Q4. Stochastic, you do see it at 25, no defined trend right now. But with it at 25, it can be interpreted as oversold. So if there's a good piece of news that does come out, then you are going to see a value rally essentially. So a lot more institutions focusing on SoFi. So that could be something that does happen in maybe the next couple of weeks. But like I said already during my video on some expectations for this upcoming week, it's just going to be technicals. Technicals are going to be driving the stock market up, down, sideways, all over the place. And SoFis are kind of stuck in limbo, like I said in yesterday's video. So once again, I just want to quickly play this video, and I feel like this will put it in perspective on where SoFi might be going in 2024.
Investment strategy. We've been batting around what we heard from Jay Powell on Sunday night, trying to make some sense of it, reading the transcripts versus what we heard on the actual program, trying to figure out what it means for equities. What do you think it actually means?
Well, first of all, I don't think a lot changed. I think that there were a lot of investors that maybe hadn't been listening to him since the beginning of the hiking cycle, that we're going to do this hard. We're going to err on the side of staying too long, staying higher than maybe people think we should, in order to really solve the problem. And I still think that their threshold for pain is higher than the markets, and that's why we've seen a couple days of a sell-off. But the reality is, even 1 or 2 days here or there don't seem to really last. There's clearly still appetite to buy.
And when you think, though, about what the interest rate picture looks like in calendar 2024, what's the SoFi view of the world?
Well, I honestly never believed that they would go in March, or at least didn't believe that they should, because we didn't have any real evidence that they should. And they like to predict it. They like to foreshadow it for the market very clearly. We're thinking about doing it. Okay, now we're really thinking about doing it, and then we're going to do it. They didn't have enough time to really say that yet. So I think pushing it back from March is a good thing. However, now we're pushing it back to the point where if we still think we're going to get 5 or 6, you might see some 50s in there. And they've proven that they don't have to do it in a very smooth, stepwise function, right? On the way up, they felt like they were a little late. They did 475s.
So you think we could see a 50 basis point drop?
The longer they wait, I think the more that's likely.
And is that a second half of the year? I mean, then we keep talking about you walking into an election cycle.
Yeah, well, and there's been
and
a
I know
lot
everybody
of
says that they don't like to think
that.
about the politics, but there is like a little birdie in people's back of their head thinking, okay, I don't want people to think.
I think it's in people's head more than it's in Jerome Powell's head, honestly. I mean, he's not up for renomination until 2026. Who knows if he even wants that seat again?
Right.
And I think that what he would be thinking about is more, am I worried about my own integrity and reputation, or am I worried about the integrity of the Federal Reserve? I would assume that he's more concerned with the integrity and the credibility of the Federal Reserve and restoring that. I don't think that there's a lot of politics that's going to come into it.
Against that backdrop, if you're an investor out there playing the equity markets, you do what?
Well, so right now we've returned to this theme of big stuff leading. The Magnificent Seven has now become the Magnificent 3 or 4, right? And we've got a new stock that entered the chat. That is still late cycle behavior.
When did that phrase come into play, by the way? It's like in the past 2 months.
Entered the chat?
Something's entered the chat. I hear people say, it's entered the chat, or could you double click on that? Have you heard that yet now?
No.
Double click on that?
No.
Okay.
I've missed that one.
No, people say that now.
But it's late cycle behavior, right? And I think this time in the cycle is when people get a lot of FOMO, and that's okay. There is stuff to buy out there, but I would be careful about everything that's seen such a feverish rise.
And so ultimately that same mentality is what is plaguing SoFi. So just the hesitation of what is coming next. Even though SoFi, like, it boggles my mind, they had amazing earnings and we are still in the $7 range. Like, it's just that grayness that is what is holding SoFi back. So it's very unfortunate, but again, if you do have a long-term time horizon, take advantage of these discounted prices, because I do feel in the coming years, SoFi is going to continue to hit home run earnings and definitely make a very big name for themselves. But then again, I'm not a financial advisor, so you guys do your own due diligence. So some points to really watch for in the coming days is that $8 kind of really strong resistance, and that's brought on by the options, and then over and above that, then that 828, I believe, or sorry, 826. So let me know your thoughts. Where do you see SoFi going? Do you think it's going to be retracing back into the low 7s, or is it going to see 8s first? What's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.